Welcome to Shon's Story. Reading, singing, laughing, learning, growing. Shon's Story. Check it out.
Hey friends, today's story is called Unicorns Have Bad Manners by Rachel Halpern. Nigel loves tea parties, but he is very fussy about etiquette, even for a dinosaur. And you know how dinosaurs can be. Nigel has searched and searched for someone with manners as perfect as his own, but he has always been disappointed. He dined with a dragon who wouldn't say please and set the whole table on fire when she sneezed. Achoo! He once saw a llama pour tea on his bread, then balance a teacup on top of his head. Last month, he tried serving an octopus lunch, but they juggled their apples and gargled their punch. But today will be different. Today, Nigel's guest is a unicorn. Nigel knows a unicorn's manners will be sublime. Just as Nigel places the last spoon on the table, Periwinkle, his soon-to-be best unicorn friend, arrives. Nigel puts his napkin on his lap with a flourish. Periwinkle doesn't. Would you care for something to sip? Nigel asks. Perhaps. Would I? Periwinkle says, and she grabs the soup ladle before Nigel can say a spot of tea. But Periwinkle doesn't sip her soup. She sloshes and snorkels and blows piles of bubbles. I thought you might want some tea, Nigel says weakly. Oh, Periwinkle says, don't mind if I do. She reaches across the table to stab a stack of cookies and dunks them straight in the teapot. It's nice to meet new people, isn't it? Periwinkle says, twirling her fork. I'm so glad you invited me. Nigel is not glad. Nigel has to take a deep breath and eat a soothing cucumber sandwich. That's when Periwinkle says, "Ooh, lilacs!" and eats the flowers right out of the vase. What are you doing? Nigel asks. Eating? Periwinkle says. Lilacs aren't food. Then why are they on the table? She asks. They are a tasteful centerpiece. You ate the centerpiece, you drank the soup, you dipped cookies in the teapot. You didn't even put your napkin on your lap. Nigel buries his face in his hands. I thought a unicorn would be polite and refined. I thought we'd nibble cucumber sandwiches and sip tea with our pinkies out. But I can't stick my pinky out, Periwinkle says. I have hooves, and everyone dips their cookies in their tea. They very much do not, Nigel says. Then they should, Periwinkle says. It's delicious. Anyway, I think it's pretty rude to shout about your guest manners, Periwinkle says more calmly. I didn't say anything when you ate a sandwich before dessert. Wait, Nigel says. You're supposed to eat dessert last. My great-grandma Gardenia wouldn't approve of that, Periwinkle says primly. Imagine, it would be like eating cookies without a fork or putting soup in a bowl. Why wouldn't you put soup in a bowl? Nigel asks. Because, Periwinkle says, it's just bad manners. But don't you think it's rude to eat straight from the pot? I did wonder why it only had one ladle, Periwinkle says thoughtfully. What about reaching across the whole table? Nigel asks. But if you don't, Periwinkle says, someone has to hand you everything. Slurping your soup cools it down faster. Putting your elbows on the table? Now I know you're just making these up, Periwinkle says. Why wouldn't you put your elbows on the table? Because it's just bad manners. Nigel tried his elbows on the table. It really is a bit of a silly rule. I never use a fork when I eat cookies, he says. Well, in that case, Periwinkle says, and she takes a cookie with one dainty hoof. Nigel nibbles on a lilac blossom. Periwinkle tries eating her soup with a spoon. The cookies really are delicious when Nigel dips them in his tea. Maybe bad manners aren't so bad after all. But Nigel still saves dessert for last.
Hey, do you want to watch another video? Click right here. Click it.